7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Welcome into another edition of the Vegas Squares podcast. We are sitting here in studio with what I like to call the original crew. We don't have Tony Johnson because he's out of the state right now, so it's the OG3. What do we call ourselves other than the Vegas Squares?
Listener, tweet us and let us know what you want us to call ourselves.
Our one listener is not on the podcast this week. So, looks like we upped our listener count 100%, so that's a good thing. So, anyways, we appreciate him listening to the Vegas Squares podcast, and we appreciate anyone else who just happens to stumble upon our website, which is vegassquares.com, and happens to listen to a show or not. Actually, this weekend's...
The
Valspar got 37 hits on the website. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but for our show, that's pretty good. Now, a hit is different than... I can't tell if they're actually listening to the podcast.
I know I was one of the hits.
You're not supposed to admit that. I went on it like 9 times. But I mean, I can't tell if someone listens to the podcast. I can only tell if someone gets to that particular webpage. So, anyways, well, Spike, we haven't seen you or heard from you in a week. What has been going on in your life?
Yeah, apparently March Madness exists, and I've been... Thanks to our bracket competition, I got suckered into filling out a bracket here, so I'm kind of sweating that to a certain degree, trying to figure out if any of my picks are worthwhile. I've actually been doing okay betting college basketball, which I never thought would be a thing, but I've hit quite a few of my bets over the weekend. Some parlays, some unders, some against the spread, and it all kind of worked out. So,
yeah, actually, I think
been pretty good.
I think it's actually been pretty profitable for all of us, except you.
Yeah, and thank God there was a huge line over at William Hill yesterday. Otherwise, I would have torched off some more money yesterday.
Oh, because you couldn't get a deposit in?
Yeah.
How many times have you deposited this year?
I want to say a dozen.
Oh my God.
And it's only March. I want to make a prop bet on how many times he deposits, like the football season.
Oh, man.
We should set a line.
Oh, yeah. Well, the problem is he can't be around to hear the line because we don't want him to to be influenced.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Sign my account and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want him to... not or deposit or not based
should we put some money on this, or is it that legit?
Yeah, why not? Put
All
like
right.
$5 on it.
All right, I'll set a line you pick, and I'll just take the other way.
All right.
So we have to clarify this. Football season, week 1 to the Super Bowl, or just the regular season?
Week 1 to the Super Bowl. We won't include preseason. Because I think I'm the only degenerate amongst us that'll bet the preseason games.
I do a little, but not much.
It's the easiest money in the world. The coaches tell you what they're going to do in their pregame press conferences.
All right, well, then I want to see you go 100%.
All right.
That'll be another prop bet. We'll make that prop bet now. Spike's winning percentage in preseason football. All right, let me see. I'm going to set this line.
It's so easy.
I think on principle, I just won't bet any of the games during preseason this year.
Yeah, right. And then you have a 0, and then I can take the under. All right, I think this is a good number.
So let's see.
Pick the line. I'll take whatever side you don't take.
I'll go under.
Fuck. All right, that's fine.
I already have an idea what that number is.
What do you think the number is?
12.5.
I'm not telling you one way or the other, so you're just going to have to not look at that sheet, and we'll find it out.
For sure, I'm sure.
I can tell you, I hope you think the line's 12.5. Let's just put it that way. All right, well, again, welcome to the Vegas Squares podcast. We want to thank the sponsors, 12 Ounce Sports Radio, Vegas Puckline Apparel, Eric on the Web Productions, ChaiPoker.com. Also, coming soon, we are actually going to be going live on our Wednesday shows, which is kind of scary, but also kind of fun, because I haven't been on a live radio show in 7 years. And I think it's probably a little longer for you. Ever.
Never.
Yeah. So, hey, whatever happened? Weren't you going on terrestrial radio?
I was
with,
supposed,
like, hockey and stuff?
Yeah, I was supposed to. So I was on 2 years ago, before Vegas had a team, before they did the draft and all that. I was brought on to a show. It's called Ion Gaming. It was on one of the local AM stations here that kind of caters to sports betting and gambling. And the guy that brought me on to the show passed away, but my number was given to a couple of the people that have been on the show. Show was canceled, but then it got reborn this season. I was supposed to be on promoting, or talking about hockey, talking about that kind of betting specifically. I just never got a call. I never got an email. I never was contacted about it. So I haven't been on.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they'll listen to this one and be like, oh, yeah, forgot to call that fucker.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So, anyways, we got a couple things we want to talk about. Obviously, today, this is our Monday podcast, but we recorded on Sunday. So, big news today, obviously, other than March Madness, was Rob Gronkowski's announcement, or do they call them announcements when they post them on social media?
I don't know, because usually you would think announcement means like press conference.
Yeah, he
and
just
having
kinda,
mics in his face.
He just kind of did it for the gram, as the kids like to say.
Rest in peace, Gronk's career.
Well, like you said on when we were on the golf course, you said there's a chance he may come back. And the thing is, I mean, he knows probably Belichick or McDaniel's scheme well enough that he could probably skip training camp and come back week 3 and probably be fine as long as he stays in game shape. But yes, I'm probably willing to bet that he's probably hung it up. Now, Spike and I have differences of opinion on why he hangs it up. Spike thinks he's washed up, and Tony Johnson concurs with them. I will give you a sense of that. I believe he's probably a shell of what he used to be in the terms of an all-pro greatness, GOAT of all-time tight end, but I still think he was an effective enough tight end, maybe not at the salary number, but I still think he was an effective enough tight end to be worthwhile in this league. Because, you figure, I'm just using fantasy-wise specifically, but after Kelsey and Ertz, it's like drop-off city. So I feel like he might even still have been the third or fourth best tight end in the league, even though he was, quote-unquote, as you guys like to say, a shell of himself.
Yeah, and the problem wasn't, just strictly ability tearing him down. It was injuries. And he has been plagued with injuries his entire career, missing tons and tons of time, including the Super Bowl run. He wasn't on the roster when they won against Seattle back in Super Bowl 49. So,
and he missed another one too, didn't he? I thought he played in 2011, but I thought he missed another one. No, maybe not.
No, I was he? Yeah, he was in that one. But
he played in 11. You said he missed in 14.
Yeah, he missed in 14. I only remember that because...
Did he play against the Falcons?
He did play against the Falcons, and I remember when he was on stage holding the trophy, one of the announcers was like, how does it feel to be back up here? He's like, I've never been up here before because I wasn't on the team 2 years ago.
He still has 3 rings.
I love that awkwardness. Yeah,
but yeah, that's a weird one when you kind of forget, as a reporter, you say something, you're like, well, I don't pay attention to every fucking thing in your life, bro.
Right. So, those are the injury problem, I think, has hampered him to the point where he doesn't have the explosiveness to get off the line that he used to. He doesn't quite have the ability to break tackles that he used to. He still has to be triple team because he's still
taller than everyone. He's taller than every secondary and faster than every linebacker.
God damn it!
Careful, those things bite back.
Yeah, so. It's just, it was at a spot where he even at 70% of himself, he was still better than just about every other tight end out there, like you were saying. But
yeah.
And that's kind of where I looked at it. You're right. I will agree with you. The injuries probably was a factor in this spot because you look at it. Okay, look, he's 30 years old. He's still in good mental health from what we know. He's got 3 Super Bowl rings. He has millions in the bank because allegedly he only spent endorsement money and not his actual NFL paycheck.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And he's got a beautiful girlfriend or wife. I don't know if he's married. I can't imagine he's married. But And you're right. And the grind of going through another Belichick season just doesn't. He just probably was like, "Fuck that! I don't want to." He's like, "What else do I have to play for?" He's a Hall of Fame tight end, no doubt about it.
Oh yeah,
even the 9 years he played, he's a Hall of. What else does he have to accomplish other than the love of the game? And I think the more and more we get into the future, when these guys are making contracts like this, set yourself up financially and maintain your mental facilities. And not a lot of people get to accomplish what he accomplished while they're still doing that. So I think, yes, while he has a lot of injuries and that played a role, I think he's accomplished everything he wanted to set out. He doesn't have the drive like Brady does, which is okay. That's not a bad thing to have.
Few people have the drive like Brady has.
Right. I mean, Brady and Jordan have had motors unlike anybody I've ever seen. And like I said, because of Brady's drive, and he's got 3 rings, 2 actual played in Super Bowls, or actual played in winning Super Bowls. And like I said, accompanied with the injuries, it's like, what else does he have to prove? Why go through the grind? I think, I want to say it was Ray Lewis, but I don't have the exact player. No, it wasn't Ray Lewis because he retired right after he won the Super Bowl. But there was a player who literally said, I've accomplished everything I want to, and while I still love to play football, I don't love July and August. And I don't blame him.
Yeah, no, and it's going to be a terrible time of year for a lot of these players. And I think you're right. Gronkowski, I mean, just unbelievable talent. We're talking 79 total touchdowns. And he did this in, 9 seasons total? So
you're looking at almost 9 a season, pretty much, yeah. And then the 1 year, I think he had, 18?
Yeah, and he had 17 in 2011.
17, yeah.
Total of almost 7,900 yards. And as somebody pointed out, and I think this might be the actual reason that Gronkowski is retiring, his touchdown per game number is .69.
You know what? Knowing him and that number, that could be the reason he retired. Didn't he have 69 touchdowns at one point too? And he was like, "I should just stop now."
Yeah,
he makes a lot of jokes referencing that. He got in trouble 69. In the Super Bowl for referencing that. From what I understand, a Barstool guy basically lobbed him up a softball with 69, and apparently there was a female reporter there, and he goes, "She gets it." And I guess she just got super offended by that.
Ah, Gronk.
Yeah.
Oh, you big stupid man.
Yeah. So, like you already said, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, for sure.
Token, you agree with that sentence?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, probably one of the top 3 to 5 tight ends of all time.
I mean, who's the best tight end of all time? I mean,
it could be Gronk.
Yeah, I mean, it could be Gronk. It could be Antonio Gates. Tony Gonzalez is probably the best, I would say.
I mean, the problem is when you're looking at these guys, you look at a Gonzalez or a Gates, probably Kelsey by the end, probably Witten.
Maybe Zach Ertz.
Now when he comes back.
Jason Witten, I forgot about Jason Witten.
The problem is when you're looking at these guys, you have to look at them, the fact that they're playing for, 12 to almost 20 years or whatever the fuck Gonzalez
played for. Maybe that might be close.
And, Gronk did this in 9 years. And
and effectively, he might have done it almost 5 or 6 with his injuries.
He played 17 seasons.
Tony did? Okay.
Yeah. So, it's tough to compare a guy that has such a short career to the careers of guys that have been around for
Terrell
so
Davis,
much longer.
What he did in a short time was very successful.
Right.
Until he just couldn't play anymore.
So, but, he's 3-time Super Bowl champ, 5-time Pro Bowl, 4-time All-Pro, 2014 Comeback Player of the Year by both the AP and the Football Writers Association. I mean, this is just, he's Hall of Fame for sure. Probably 87 gets retired at Gillette. It's just, it's an incredible career. It's just, by the end of it, he was just not, mentally he was still Gronkowski, but on the field he was something else.
Who else is retired at Gillette other than Brewski and Law? Are they even retired? I don't even know if they're retired.
I don't know if their numbers are. I would assume Sugar Bear Hannah, but I'd have to look that up.
As I said, there's not a lot of great success in the law, and I mean, obviously 12's gonna be when that time comes. But I mean, there's not a lot of great successful players with, the careers that you would retire numbers from 96.
Yeah,
99.
well, they wouldn't even. Bledsoe didn't even get retired, and he had all sorts of records or team records before Brady came along.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, obviously we know the success of TB12. It's hard to believe that in the next 50 years anyone's going to duplicate that. So
yeah, so there's 4 numbers retired by the Patriots.
Guess. Law.
I gotta. I think it's 4. No, it's a little more than that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers.
Fuck. Okay, Law is 1.
Law is not 1.
Oh shit! Then I'm in deep trouble. Teddy Bruschi.
Not Teddy Bruschi. Because Hightowers were in 54 right now.
Oh, that's true. Irving Fryer.
It is no.
Grogan.
Nope. I named one already.
Hannah. Yeah,
John
you got
Hannah.
Okay. I'm not thinking it's Craig James.
Nope. I'll give you a hint.
Wilfork?
No. Only one of these players played this century, and he played 1 year this century.
I would have said. I don't even know what the fuck I would say.
Yeah. And
What position did he play?
He was defensive line. Fuck, I don't remember.
It wasn't Willie McGinnis. He played for all 3 Super Bowl teams. So defensive line.
Oh, sorry, offensive tackle.
Yeah, I got nothing. I don't know any of them. I guess.
All right, so one that you probably could have guessed, Gino Cappelletti.
Okay.
Since he did the radio play-by-play for so many years, but he was also their record-setting kicker for, I don't know, however long. So number 20 is retired. Mike Haynes, who I've never heard of.
Never heard of him.
Number 40 is retired. Steve Nelson, I remember that one, linebacker, retired in 87, so number 57 is retired. Sugar Bear Hannah, 73, he retired in 1985. Jim Lee Hunt, who played from 1960 to 1970. Number 79 is retired. Bob D., who I've never heard of him. Played 1960 to 1967, which I guess was Boston Patriots until...
They played at Fenway then.
Yeah, my dad used to sneak into those games back in the day. Number 89 is retired. The one I was talking about, the offensive lineman, who I thought was a defensive lineman because I forgot that... whatever. Bruce Armstrong. Number 78.
Okay, I remember that, yeah. You thought it was Bruce Smith?
I don't know why I thought defensive lineman there, but yeah.
All right, fair enough. So I got all those wrong. I know those 2 are in the Ring of Honor, but I guess that's not the same as retiring a number. So
right.
Retiring a number is tough because...
Especially in football because the rosters are so deep.
There's only 99 of them. Actually, 98. Oh, no, 99. What am I saying? Fucking math is hard.
Yeah.
Nobody wears 100 and nobody wears 0. Anyways, all right, so we got off track here. What are we talking about? Gronk. Gronk's retired.
Yes.
First ballot Hall of Famer. Where do the Patriots go from here? There's been a lot of speculations, even before he officially retired, that they would draft Irv Smith out of Alabama. I know nothing about him, but I did see him play in a couple of the playoff games, and he looked closer to Dwayne Allen than he did Rob Gronkowski.
I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, though, because Dwayne Allen was a little bit of a bust. So
in New England, yes.
Yeah.
In Indianapolis, it seemed like he was kind of a stud. It was like that's why I didn't understand. Like, what did he do wrong, or what happened to him that we just were like, you can't be relied on to catch passes?
Well, part of it, I think, and I'm going to sound like an asshole about this. And, this is...
And you look like one, too.
And this is giving credit to somebody that I don't like giving credit to. But sometimes I think that Josh McDaniels' offensive scheme is so complicated that stupid people can't handle it. So when they take stupid people on, and we've seen this sometimes at the end of people's careers, sometimes people just don't want to try. Sometimes guys get in there and they think that they're going to be, because they were great at their old team. They come in here and they shit the bed like Reggie Wayne. These are the kinds of guys where they can say that, I don't want to go through July and August anymore, or, I don't feel like I'm contributing or whatever else. But
Eric Decker did that too, didn't he?
Yeah, but the problem is a lot of these guys come in they see the offensive schemes being run by the Patriots, and they realize that this is not something they're going to be able to handle mentally.
That's fair, because you're right. It is a very complex scheme, and like you said, as much as you don't like McDaniels, he puts together a pretty intricate playbook, I guess you say that. But that's two receivers, at least, that we publicly know that probably, like they said, they said they don't feel like playing anymore, but the word on the street is that they just couldn't understand the playbook, which is a fair assessment. I mean, playbooks are getting crazier and crazier, not just McDaniels at that point, too, because I think McVay's is probably pretty nuts, too.
Yeah, it would have to be. And, all these teams run plays that are super deep. And you can even see that a lot of these teams, the Patriots have talked about this before, especially when it comes to not even trick plays, but trickier plays. If they run it during the regular season, they won't run it in the playoffs. Like, just on the off chance that a team is prepared for it. So if they have plays that are even slightly more complicated, like any type of flea flicker, any type of double pass, any type of like non-traditional reverse play, even, these are the types of plays that if you run it once in the regular season, you're not going to see it again for the rest of the year. And so in order to prepare for these kinds of things, the players have to know everything in these playbooks, and they're massive.
So it sounds like players like the tight end or like the split end or like a fullback, because I remember when I was playing football, like, I played quarterback, and you had to know what the other 10 guys were doing on top of your own. It's like dealing poker. Like when I used to deal poker, a lot of players would be like, "Oh, it's not that hard. Anybody can do it." And I'm like, there's a difference between worrying about yourself and worrying about yourself and 10 other people at the same time, while maintaining all these rules. I feel like it looks like these newfangled playbooks have to require the tight end, like Dwayne Allen, and in the fullback, and they have to know where everybody's going, where it used to just be the quarterback's job in that spot. I could be wrong, but it feels like that's the case now. You almost need to know the entirety of the play versus just what your assignment is.
I think that's probably fair. Speaking of poker, are we going to go play after we record here?
I'm not. You can.
Ah, Jesus.
I'm beat, dude. We just played 18 holes, sat in a sports book, and then I had to clean up dog shit. So, yeah. And I still have to do laundry because I promised my girlfriend I would do laundry today, and then I went golfing. So,
fair enough. Token, you in?
I might meet up with some old buddies from Michigan. So,
oh my God,
yeah.
He's been saying that since like the 14th hole. So,
he's
not lying too.
All right,
but he may suggest that they go play poker. You can always go.
Some might be over at Bally. So.
All right. Well, we'll see.
But they usually only play cash, though.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Got him. Yeah. I was gonna talk about cash games, but I'm a fucking terrible cash player. So, move on.
Just eliminate cash from that sentence and go there. Anyways, so I actually had a question for Token here in this spot related to Rob Gronkowski. Over under June 2nd, the Detroit Lions put in a call to number 87.
Oh.
That's
a good line. I would say after that.
The June 1st cuts are right there. So
yeah, I would say after.
I'm gonna say, do you think they're like, maybe we can lure him out? I don't know. Does he really want to go to Detroit? If he's gonna leave New England for all of this, is he gonna go to Detroit?
He's fucking not going to Detroit.
So
though I think he would definitely help them a lot, but. Instead of fourth, they might finish third in the division if they picked up Gronk.
You're really low on them this year.
5-11.
Wow,
that's why I have them at right now.
I don't even have usually when somebody makes a proclamation or a bold prediction like that, I'll usually just try to play devil's advocate. I don't even think I can. I think you nailed it or worse. I don't feel comfortable trying to take an over as a devil's advocate right there. And the under might even be worse than that. So
yeah,
I'll give you a dark horse prediction here. If Gronkowski is going to come back, I say he takes this year off and then comes to the new Las Vegas Raiders.
That could be fun.
That'd be a good one.
I'll tell you what. I'll make you, since I like making these little prop bets. Instead of trying to predict your season record, I will give you... Oh, shit, that pen just broke. I will give you... And you can pick... I will give you an over-under of 4.5 for their draft position next year.
4.5? Ooh.
Over under 4.5. Somebody give me another pen. That one just fucking snapped.
What they actually draft at, or what they actually had before they traded away, or whatever?
Yeah, what they're slotted at after week 7, after everything's. Yeah, of course. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, 4.5, and they trade up or they trade down to the 7th pick. No, I'm not going to do that to you.
I am going to say. Ooh, that's such a good line.
I know. I should be a bookie.
I will say over. I think they get the 5th.
I think they get the 5th. In 2020. I think the draft's here next year.
Yes, it is. Not released exactly where it's going to be at in Las Vegas. But
Where do you think? Where could they put that? MGM. Well, no. Caesars is a partner with the NFL. Could they put it in the new forum?
That's one of the things that they
will
were saying.
Be open by then.
Yes, it will be.
Can that hold?
Yes.
How many people actually go to the draft where you have to have a
when it was in New York?
room?
When it was in New York, I haven't paid attention. When it was in New York, there would be a lot of people in the Radio City, and then I remember in Dallas, it wasn't that many people. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to say with being in a convention hall, especially in Vegas. The thing is, Vegas might actually get it amped up again because people will be like, "Fuck, I'm going to go to Vegas and go to the NFL draft."
I would go.
Like the NHL awards actually have a lot of people in them, surprisingly. Yeah. So I mean, I think the NFL draft could have
a lot of knuckleheads.
Could get there too. Hey, that's a cool looking street. Is that Vancouver? It looks like fucking
it probably is,
downtown Las Vegas a little bit. Anyways, it's like a moth. I just got sidetracked by the Canucks game. All right, so let's switch over March Madness time. We have brackets on ESPN, our own Vegas Squares podcast. You can take a look at them if you'd like. You have Michigan State winning it all, which is not surprising is not the right word, but it's an interesting pick, but it actually looks a lot better now because they actually have a decent road.
Yeah, and my logic through all of this has always been I don't trust number ones in tournaments like this when I'm putting together a bracket because we've always see upsets. Teams always tend to play up when they get to a number one or when they're playing against the number one, whereas the people in the number one seed, if they don't have the right coach, if they don't have the right mental capacity.
They don't have a coach at all like LSU.
There you go. They tend to play down to a certain level. I think they also tend to feel that sometimes that being a number one seed entitles them to certain things, like what we saw with the Duke UCF game. A lot of people were saying that Zion Williams was getting foul calls or not foul calls that he shouldn't have, and that I think comes along with being a number one seed. So
I will say this, taking it away from, I don't want to take away from Zion Williamson and Duke, and I interrupted you and I apologize. I'll get back to it, but we had this whole conversation about it through text about how sports we believe kind of can and maybe manipulated, whatever. I believe there was no way in hell the NCAA wanted Zion Williamson out of this tournament.
Oh, probably not.
Not in the second round, at least.
Yeah. Well, yeah, not in the second round. Not in the first weekend.
Yeah, so if they fall, it'll be later. But the point that I was getting to is that if he's getting the types of calls or not getting the calls against him in this round, when he gets to a game where the refs are calling things against him, then he may not know how to handle it. And we've seen that before in certain players. And
LeBron does that, too.
Yeah,
LeBron, James Harden.
These are the types of players that if they don't get the calls that they want or they feel the calls are going against them, they eventually say, fuck it, and they give up. And they feel, I can't beat the refs, I'm going home. So these are the kinds of things that we see, which is why I always tend to stick with 2 seeds, which actually my entire Final Four was just about all 2 seeds, except I think I had Kansas State, so that got fucked. But I have,
although I lost one too.
Yeah, I have Michigan State over Michigan, and I had North Carolina beating Kansas State in my Final Four matchups. So these are that's just sort of the way that I go with it. But yeah, I mean Michigan State, I just. There was no real reason for it. It was just by the time I got to the Final Four, I realized that was how it kind of shook out and said, go Sparty.
Well, I mean, they're the ones that are going to have to. I mean, I still claim that Virginia Tech's going to beat Duke, but if that doesn't happen, Michigan State's going to have to be the one. They're going to have to go through the juggernaut. And Tom Izzo, it's hard to say he's going to have his team prepared because you can't say Mike Krzyzewski's not. But Mike Krzyzewski has a team in this 3 or 4 freshmen that I don't know. I don't know college basketball that well, but I don't know if he's ever had a team like this where it's a bunch of young guys who the stage at some point may get too big for them.
Yeah, and that's possible. I have a friend of mine, and this is maybe the weirdest thing about her. She's punk as fuck. She drinks basically only Jack and Coke. She plays ukulele in a band that only covers Nintendo and Super Nintendo songs. And the one thing in this world that she loves more than anything is Duke basketball.
That is weird.
So, I actually, and when UNLV makes it into the tournament, which they didn't even fucking come close this year, I don't think.
They've done it in like the last 5 years.
Yeah,
they've done it since I've been here.
We kind of talk shit back and forth on Facebook, but I haven't talked to her in a bit, obviously, with UNLV being out. But I do want to kind of touch base with her and see what she thinks about this Duke team and how they're moving along and what she thinks their chances are, especially going against Virginia Tech or going even further and hopefully going against my Michigan State pick.
Well, the thing is you look at the Sweet 16 because it's obviously set now, and you have 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3 in that East matchup with Duke and Virginia Tech, Michigan State, LSU. And then you have in the West, you have 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. And then in the Midwest, you have 1 versus 5, 2 versus 3. So it's almost run pretty chalk. And then you have Virginia, who I know Tony Johnson has a futures ticket at like 12-1 for them.
Something around there, yeah.
Obviously, the Virginia Tech or the Virginia Gardner-Webb game got a little spicy, but now you have 1 versus 12, 2 versus 3. However, that 12 seed, if they were healthy at the beginning of the season, like Peyton Pritchard and the other guys, obviously they lost Manute Bull's kid, but everybody else is back and healthy. They're not a real 12 seed.
They're realistically like a 5 or 6.
They could be a 4 or 5 seed because they should have won the Pac-12, even though the Pac-12 was kind of hot garbage this year. But for everything with the March Madness, with the upsets, the buzzer beaters, this year has gone virtually pretty chalky. You're going to have a 12 beating a 5, but most people don't even consider that an upset anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost bound to happen almost because
and even
William
the 13
Hill.
4s now. I mean, William Hill had the 12 beating the 5 as a favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I bet the no, dumbly.
Yeah.
Is dumbly a word?
Sure, we'll make it a word just for you.
I bet it bigly. But anyways, so you got to feel good if you're Tony Johnson with that ticket. Even though it's Oregon, who's probably, like I said, better than a 12 seed, they still are the only 1 seed to face anything higher than a 5. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair point. And, it almost seems like this matchup for them coming forward this tail end of this week coming up, the 12 seed almost looks pretty damn good, especially that route that they hit over UC Irvine.
I'm curious what that line's going to look like. I'll say Virginia's a 4.5 point favorite if it's out.
I'm going to say 7.5.
Ooh, that's a big number.
Let's see. Virginia, Oregon. The line is out on William Hill. It is Virginia minus 7.5.
Wow, you probably looked earlier.
No, I swear I didn't.
Wow, 7.5. I don't know which side to take, but I feel like I'd take Oregon in that spot. Spike, you ready for this one?
All right.
Token Tony, how's your bracket looking? Who's your champion?
Champion's already out.
Champion's gone.
The top half of my bracket looks red as fuck. The bottom half actually looks pretty in peace. Out of the 8 teams in the Sweet 16, on the bottom half I have 7 of them right. The top half, I think I have 3.
Ooh, hey, still 10 out of 16. That's pretty.
No,
fair.
2. Oh no, I have 3. I have 3 in the Sweet 16 right on the top half. So 10 out of 16.
10 out of 16. Is that a bad ratio in this week? That's not terrible. I don't know what I have. I'm going to check real quick.
I think you have like 13 or something.
I was picking on your brackets. Mine might not be that much better.
Yeah, in the bottom half I have Gonzaga, Florida State correct. Texas Tech, Michigan aren't. Actually, no, that's one that I got wrong. I thought Florida was going.
You what?
Actually, you and I are tied for first, but it put me above you.
Oh, wow. Yeah. All right.
But, so I want to make a funny here.
Okay.
So, between you and I, we're in first with 460 points each. Our maximum that we can win is 1620.
Okay.
Okay? Just remember that number, 1620.
1620, okay.
So Token, there's a big Django who never filled out a bracket. They're 7 of 7 because they have 0. So Token's effectively in last place with 390.
I think I have last place locked up.
How much do you think his max is?
Oh, so he's at 390 now. Max
Like we're at 460 with a 1620 max.
at the beginning was 1620. I will say his max is going to be 1440.
I wish.
910.
My champion's out.
And I think you get 200 points for writing your name. Oh, that's the SET. Never mind. So, yeah, everybody else can get at least 1,600 points in our group, which includes Andrew Parks, who does our baseball, Chris Moon, who also does the baseball, and then Tony Johnson, and then 3 of us. So it does not look good for you, Token, unless we start dropping like flies.
No,
I will say right now,
even then it probably will mess up my bracket.
I currently, for my Elite 8, I have 7 of my 8 teams left. The only one I got wrong is Kansas State.
I believe I have 7 of 8 as well. The only one that's gone is Villanova. But I have Oregon beating Virginia right here.
Ooh.
So my Final Four has 3 of 4. Are you still full in your Final Four? No, you lost Kansas State, right?
I lost Kansas State, yeah.
So of my Sweet 16, I lost 1.
I lost
2
in the Final Four.
3, 4. I lost 4 of my Sweet 16 so far, so it could be worse.
I think you're doing better than me there. Yeah, 5.
But I had that Villanova pick just not quite as far as you did.
Yeah.
What made you take Villanova? Because
I had a future sticking on them too, but I
Okay.
actually thought they were a better team than they actually showed against Purdue.
Yeah, that's fair. They tried to make a comeback on it. They covered the second half line for me. I appreciate that, guys. But
For what they showed up for.
speaking of, Iowa did the same thing.
Yeah.
That's been the fun of it, though. I think, like you said, the 3 of us, I can safely say the 3 of us watched 0 minutes of basketball before the tournament. And there's something about, they aptly named it right, the March Madness. There's something about it that I'm literally like firing in plays and betting on games that I don't know.
You get to keep the duffel bag.
I don't know what that means.
I don't get that
a
reference.
from How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, yeah, that's
Well,
why I
when
wouldn't
they
get
It's one of my
that.
favorite shows. I still don't
Yeah.
get the reference.
When they're doing the bracket or whatever with Barney or whatever, and they end up doing or talking about the March Madness or whatever, and then stealing the chalkboard out of Louis.
I remember stealing the chalkboard because I remember my favorite. They're like, we studied all night.
Yeah.
We put together the greatest bracket we think in the history.
It's $100 buy-in. Winner gets $100,000 in the duffel bag.
And the duffel, but yeah, I do remember that now. But then he's like, and then Lily comes in. She's like, the first game's over. You lost already. He's like, I didn't even know they were playing.
Oh, Ted, yeah.
It's a good show. You should watch it. You watch that show?
No, I probably should. There's a bunch of shows like that I gotta start watching. Like I've never gone through The Office officially.
It's another good
I know. I just said that to get under Aaron's skin because every time I come over, if he's not watching sports, it's The Office.
I think I've watched The Office in its rotation.
9 times.
No, I was gonna say 10, but somewhere around there, 10 times. I've watched in its rotation The Office about 10 times, How I Met Your Mother about 10 times, and Friends like 4 or 5 times.
Friends I've seen about 3 or 4 times. How I Met Your Mother probably.
But I never got
10
into
to
like
12.
Mad Men. I never got into like Breaking
Lost
Bad.
I've seen about 4 times.
Lost I've seen twice.
Breaking Bad is amazing.
Everybody says it, but I got through like a half a season. I'm like, this show kind of boring.
Yeah,
But that's the thing with some of those. You just
it starts slow, and it's kind of like Breaking Bad. When it hit the air, nobody watched it, but the critics loved it.
okay.
And then when it got to season 2 and season 3, that's when it started to pick back up. That's when it got put on Netflix or something. And then people are like, oh, yeah, if you sit down and you watch the first 3 seasons and then the new episodes are coming out, you'll get into it. And that's when people got into it. And then by the last season, I think the last episode, or either the last or the second to last episode, is basically only under the MASH finale when it comes to viewerships when it was out.
This isn't the MASH like greatest of all time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about that. So, I mean, like the Breaking Bad series finale was just unbelievable how many people watched that thing. But, it's one of those things. And actually, one of the shows that you mentioned that I should have watched was Friends, because it's actually based on my alma mater. the two people, Kaufman and Crane, the two creators of the show, were living in an 8-person suite on campus, one of the dorms on campus. And so they took themselves out of the picture, and they were 3 guys and 3 girls, and they just kind of watched their interactions and took notes, and they started basing the backbone of the show on their observations in one of the fucking dorms at Brandeis.
Interesting.
Brandeis. Roll dice, roll.
Do they have sports there at Brandeis?
Yeah, Division 3.
Do they have football?
No.
Oh.
No. So
What's their popular sport? Baseball?
fencing.
You're just saying that because you fenced.
No, actually, I think the soccer teams are probably the most popular out there.
Is that your car?
Somebody's car is going on out there.
Yeah. Hey, come on, we're trying to record a podcast.
Funny story kind of related to this. When I was in a band in high school and college, we were in a shitty part of Boston,
Shitty pot town.
just like in the heart of Dorchester, which for a while was known as Drive-By Dot. So the singer's in the booth doing his vocals and everything else. All of a sudden, the engineer stops and he goes, sorry, we're going to take another take. There were some gunshots outside. we got to redo
Sounds
that part.
like another afternoon in Detroit.
Yeah. Speaking of, I read an article that said Detroit's, I guess, population, like suburbia population, is like making a comeback. I don't know where I was going with that, but I feel like it's like I guess Detroit's trying to
rebound,
maybe put some effort in there or something.
I know downtown's.
Would you ever move back to Detroit?
Like,
it would be tough too.
Proper Detroit or Detroit suburbs? Either one.
I don't know. Are you from Dearborn?
I'm from Dearborn originally. Which
okay.
Actually,
aren't you a minority there?
Actually, yeah. Now a minority, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm just saying, like I liked my time in Florida, but like specifically where I grew up, I would never move there again. Like it's like the drug capital of the Southeast, and it's always wet all the time and nasty. Like I don't think I would move to Florida unless it was like a really good paying job. So I mean, nothing against Florida, other than the every time you hear something crazy on the radio, it's Florida man did this, Florida man did that.
Headline or lie.
Yeah, we listen to that. You ever listen to that? You ever listen to Fox Sports Radio like on the weekends?
Every once in a while, yeah.
Brady Quinn does a show with some tool. I forget his name, but they play a game which is pretty funny. Two callers are attached to Brady and the other guy as like teammates, and they read them various headlines or alleged headlines, and the caller has to determine if it's a legit headline or a lie. And the thing is, it's not the headlines that really like are the main course. It's actually the fact that the lies that they make up sound so true.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Like Johnny Manziel, when he was cut from his contract, they said it was because they found him in an alley with a 12-pack of Labatt Blue in the Canada. Which was not true because it was Molson, but they like took almost like a truth, and made it into a lie because of the beer.
That's a tough one. NPR does something similar they do a like sort of a call-in show called Wait, Don't Tell Me. They do the same thing, but it's 3 comedians on stage. One of them has a real headline or a real story. The other 2 have fake stories that they've made up. All of them are batshit crazy, but there's always one that's true.
That's fair. All right, actually, when I was looking at this, we were talking about March Madness. I kind of want to wrap it up with this question.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are observant bystanders with no real dog in the fight, obviously. If you've listened to our podcast, you kind of know that I kind of like UCF a little bit, just a little bit.
Just a tad.
Just a smidge. Just a dollop.
See a bottle opener over there that says yes.
So with the success of UCF football over the last 2 years, and this game on this stage against this team, against this player, to basically have a chance to knock off
Goliath,
the only player that seems to matter in this tournament. UCF's goal has been to get into one of those Power 5 conferences. Is this a huge step, coupled with the last 2 years of football? Can you see a spot where someone's going to actually pick up the phone and call the UCF athletic director in this spot?
I could see it being a strong possibility. I would not be surprised if that were a possibility in the next few years.
What conference is most likely, or what conference most
Big
needs
12.
to expand?
The two that have been talked, the Big 12 could effectively lose. I think they have 10 teams, and they're the Big 12, so they could add a couple and be the Big 12 again. And effectively, there's been talks that some of the teams could leave.
Oh,
The other one that's been in talks is Notre Dame is flirting with joining the ACC in all sports except football.
okay.
And so that would give them an odd number of teams. So they've also been talking about the ACC because it's the Atlantic Coast. You know, this team's in Florida. You obviously already have Florida State and Miami. You could add a third team in a top 20 TV market. So those are the two that have been talked the most about, at least in football. In basketball, you know, the Big East could be another one, even though they like their little, you know, what do they call those? Private schools, Creighton, Georgetown, Villanova, all those.
Xavier, yeah.
Yeah, Xavier's another one. Yeah, that's another good question. Is like, okay, are there really that many people who would even consider it? Because, you know, revenue sharing's been another one. Everybody's like, put us in a conference. Well, these teams are making. If I remember correctly, I know the SEC teams are each making like $40 million each, but like even the the Big 12 teams are making like 12 to 13 each. Do they really want to add another wedge to that? You know, another slice to that pie? I don't know. Mm-hmm. As much as everybody says, you know, the Big 12 needs to be the Big 12 teams again. Yeah, why? But I look at it from both ways. A lot of the people who are UCF fans were saying this will get us into a Power 5 conference, and I'm like, maybe. You got to keep doing it, though.
Yeah, it can't be just one and done.
I think the football is going to be around for a while. But basketball, I mean, they just won their first NCAA tournament game
Ever.
on Friday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's pump the brakes. I just, you know, there's a lot of irrational people who are fans of any team, but I was just kind of curious to hear an outsider's opinion on this delusion or lack of delusion.
I mean, it sort of makes sense. I can see why they would want to get in. I could see why they would want to kind of leave the big fish, small pond mentality and get into a conference. I don't know that that's always the best thing, like we're seeing with TCU in the Big 12.
I would think it would generate a lot more revenue.
I think it's
campus.
the revenue.
Oh, sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Big 12 is while it's not, it may be of the Power 5, it may be 5 of 5 or 4 of 5 in terms of strength, but it's still a Power 5 conference.
Sure, no, I get that, but it's, you know, and it's better than, what are they in now, CUSA?
No, they used to be. They're in the American Athletic Conference.
Oh, yeah, okay.
AAC.
Yeah,
Basically the old Big East. And
Right,
in
yeah.
basketball, the Big East demanded their name back, and so they got that back.
I don't follow these conferences at all.
I know. It's hard to follow them in basketball because there's like 32 of them.
Right, and then when you go
Something ridiculous.
when you go to hockey, it's just completely different. There's Hockey East and the ACHA or the
ECHL and
that's
He's talking about college.
I'm talking just like college conferences in hockey are completely different because they just released the bracket for the NCAA
Frozen
tournament.
Four.
Yeah,
Yep.
Getting up to the Frozen Four.
I think that's a cool name.
That is
Frozen Four.
Still not as good as the NCAA fencing competition that happens this spring.
What do they call that? The fencing for?
No, March Stabness.
March Stabness. That one's good. Fencing tournament. I'm just trying to think if I would watch a fencing tournament.
I would.
I know you would. You fenced.
Yeah, I know.
I was
But
gonna say you played fencing, but I don't know if that's. You don't say it like that. I don't
no.
I played fence.
I subscribe to the fencing subreddit, and they post GIFs and videos all the time. And like some of the bouts are, some of them go by in like 30 seconds. Some of them are, 45 minutes long.
Wow.
So let me ask you a question. I'm sure I know the answer to this. So when you're fencing, you're obviously unguard.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to like turn your body and when the guy comes, just grab his weapon and be like, beat him over the head with yours? Or are there rules to this gentleman's game?
There are rules against that sort of thing. Plus, depending on the weapon, so like There's three weapons. There's foil, epee, and saber. Foil and epee are sort of the same thing, where it's a stabbing weapon.
Does it have the ball on the end?
Yeah, well, in actual tournaments, there's a plunger on the end, so when it hits somewhere, it
leaves
there's a wire that runs down
Yeah.
the blade, and then you connect it to a wire on your arm. The arm comes out the back and it hooks into a machine. So when you hit somebody, it actually knows and it lights up and it lets somebody know that a touch actually happened.
Yeah.
In epee, you can hit anywhere on the body. In foil, it's only from essentially the torso, from like the crotch to the neck. And not the arms, just the meat,
vest.
the core.
That's how I fight. No face shots and no ball shots.
Like the vest.
Yeah. So there's a lame that goes over the actual uniform. So in that sort of thing, it might work if you don't get caught, but it would be a little difficult for nobody to see you grab the other guy's blade and stab.
Yeah, especially the judges.
Yeah.
Like, what are you watching?
Yeah.
Unless they fight in Nevada. Maybe the Nevada State Athletic Commission might overlook that one.
But yeah, in saber it definitely
look,
wouldn't
the
work, because saber is a slashing weapon. So as soon as the guy comes in and like essentially hits you anywhere with the side of his blade, that's a touch, and that's not a good way to go about it.
Okay, fair enough. If I ever decide defense, I know what not to do.
Yeah.
All right, so that was my wrap-up of March Madness. The first weekend, we had some great games, but effectively, if you look at the standings, or if you look at the bracket, it effectively is chalky, pretty chalk. But there were definitely... Okay, I'll make my last point here before I really wrap it up. I definitely like the theoretical concept of basketball tournaments because UC Irvine, because Oregon has a 12 seed, because UCF has a 9 seed against the overall number 1 seed. Mm-hmm. Everybody can say, oh, Duke's going to... I mean, I heard people say Duke's going to beat fucking UCF by 20, 25 points. It's going to be a disaster. But they get a chance to play the games. This is why I've been lobbying for 12 weeks on the college football. Put them on the field. You can tell me you're going to beat a team by 100 points, but I don't believe you. Go out and do it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
prove yourself. Yeah.
And then people start saying that if you do that in college football, the season goes so long. But then you realize that there's like a month and a half off between the conference championship games and the actual playoff games.
Yeah, and make the first round. They're all like, oh, well, travel and cost. Make the first round of games at home. The home, if it's a 16-team playoff, the first 8 seeds get home games. And maybe even, when you get down to 8, then the next ones do, and then you're down to 4, and you can have your final 4. And you can make money. I mean, every other game's money, or you can use some of these bowl games that no one gives a fuck about. That's not good for the under.
I was going to say I took in play under 4.5.
Oh,
well, that's really not
under
good for
5.5.
But yeah, I mean, I understand 68 teams. You can't put 68 football teams in, but I think if you're number 16. And if you're number 17 in football, okay, I understand. Any number you take it back to, there's going to be snubs. But I'm more comfortable with 16 than I am with 4.
Yeah, and as much as I would like to see this get expanded, and I went on Twitter this week, and I believe I said that the NCAA is more corrupt than the Catholic Church and the Mafia combined. But
that would be a fair statement.
I think that's verbatim what you said.
I think that even 16... if they balk at that, I don't even know that you need to go that far. You could do
8,
even move to 8, or
I
you could
said
do
12,
or you could do 12 and give
with a bye.
the top 4 the bye week.
I said 12 before, but I'm okay with 16 because
I'm fine with 16. It's just I know that the ne'er-do-wells that actually run the AA are not going to be happy with that, because we saw that for how long that they held out where they didn't want to do a playoff system.
Yeah,
well, it's funny they pick and choose when they want to enforce the student athletes.
It'll create more revenue for them and all that.
So, of course it will.
Well, when they don't want something, then they go to these are student athletes. Don't forget the student part. They'll say that shit. So I mean, come on, these guys aren't going to school to learn things.
Right. A few, but. Look at Ryan Fitzmagic.
Wait, where did he go to school?
Let's take the isolated incident. Yes. Did he graduate though? That's the question.
That's a mighty good question.
That's the question. As a 7th round pick, I think he graduated.
By the way, Harvard barely sneaking into the Frozen Four tournament.
Oh yeah.
Didn't they win the Bean Pot though?
They might have. Actually, no. It was American International that was the last one, and Harvard actually is playing against UMass Amherst in the first round here.
But yeah, I mean, you have almost a blueprint for football with your basketball tournament. I mean, it's showing every every weekend of March Madness or every year of March Madness. You know, who's going to be the upset? Who's going to be the upset? Why is that okay in baseball and not okay in football? Or, basketball. Why is that okay in basketball and not okay in football?
Because I believe there's triple the teams and all that, but it's also such a...
Sure, but you triple the teams. Yeah. I think there's 300 teams in Division I college basketball, and you get 64 into 68. Which I also think is stupid. Yeah. You get 64 effectively into the tournament. Mm-hmm. So what's the ratio on that?
1 in 5.
20%?
1 in 5, yeah.
Let's just say 20%. Yeah. Well, there's 110 teams in college football, and I think there might actually be 112 now.
I think that is right.
And it's 4. So let's just say 110 for help for the NCAA.
2% compared to 20%.
4 divided by 110 is 3.5%. So it just doesn't make sense to me. Let's see, 12 divided by 110 might be a little bit better of a ratio.
Still not going to be great. It'll be like 11.
11%. Yeah. But it's a start. And 16 divided by 110?
15.
15%, yeah. Mm. So, I mean, it's better than, what did we say, 3.5% of your teams being eligible? And
yeah.
Look, like I said, everybody said Alabama would wipe the floor with UCF. Vegas said the spread would be 21.5, but put them on the court, or put them on the field.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody gets entertained, and all the people who said they'd win by 21, if they do, then fine, you get your vindication.
Yep.
But all just give these kids a chance. When you play Division I college basketball, you go into every season thinking, I have a chance to play for a national title. You don't have that in college football.
Right. Even the 16 seeds come in there thinking, we have a chance to play, and just the experience alone.
Especially now with Umbuck.
Someone's
finally broken through that.
Yeah.
Umbuck. Fuck it, give me Umbuck.
Fucking nailed him.
Yeah.
Should have gotten more points for that in last year's bracket.
We did brackets this year, but we didn't do an on-air bracket like each. I listened to that podcast not too long ago, and I'm like, God, that was stupid. Because we're all like, we picked it all the way down too, and we all had different brackets. I think we made that up on the fly.
I think you're right.
So those were the early days when we were all unskilled and having fun.
As opposed to now where we're unskilled and not having fun.
I'm still having fun. Trust me, the minute I stop having fun, I will stop saying podcast Sunday night.
Oh, there we go.
So, anyways, that's going to wrap it up here. Any parting thoughts? You want to maybe say something to Jay Wright and the Villanova Wildcats?
Always next year.
Really? That's it? That's all you got for him?
Wow. Well, I mean, spoken like a true Detroit Lions fan.
Yeah, you let him off the hook that easy?
Well, for the Lions, it's 10 years down the road.
Will the Lions win a Super Bowl in your life?
Hopefully, but
Ooh.
The looks of it, no.
How much? You're what, 28?
29.
29. You've probably got at least
30 years left.
Jesus, what are you going to do? What are you doing? Spike is closer to 30 years left than you. How old are you, Spike?
I feel like I should be offended by that.
No, I'm saying I would take, if I had to bet on one of you two to only live for 30 more years, I would bet on Token versus you.
Yeah,
you're getting healthier.
I'm 39, but yeah, I am getting healthier, and that's part of the thing is trying to prolong life here.
Oh, Jesus.
For fuck's sake.
Come on, Columbus.
I think it was a shorthanded goal, too.
Could we all get this bet any more wrong?
God, my under is dead.
I said Vancouver money line. He said the under 5.5, which he's actually still good.
Still alive. 5-0. Hopefully they just tear off the ice.
We were sitting in the sportsbook. I go, man, Sunday night, they're on the tail end of a road trip. This seems like the perfect spot for Columbus to be, to fade Columbus. And I could not be more wrong in this. 5-0. Yeah, I have Josh Anderson on my fantasy team. Yeah. He's got 2 goals tonight, so that'll put me ahead of Desiree. Desiree likes to talk shit every time she moves into first place in that fantasy hockey league.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but when I move into first place, or Tom or anybody else moves into first place, she's real quiet.
God, I haven't cracked beyond 4th in weeks.
What am I, 8, 9?
Well, set your lineup. What do you care?
I can't even log into the app anymore.
I'm telling you, next year I think we need to have a legit, pay to play.
Yeah.
Because one of the guys in our league took all the Lightning and doesn't even start them, and he's got, all these guys from the best team in the NHL just sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
So,
Brutal.
anyways,
Brutal.
do you have a parting shot for your bracket? Anybody in your bracket you'd like to tell to fuck off?
I would like to see Kansas State do better, but no. Now that the hockey bracket is out, I'm going to be focusing more on that.
Can you bet that anywhere offshore?
I'm not on any of the offshore books, so I don't necessarily know.
We should check with Tony Johnson. I know he's the offshore guy of the four of us.
Of the top 4 seeds, 3 of them are from Minnesota, so they've got
Bemidji State?
Nope. One of them...
Wisconsin, that's Whitewater. That's a football school. But I know there's one. There's a really weird named one.
Minnesota St. Paul?
No, that wouldn't be a weird name. But it's... it's going to drive me nuts. I can see it in my mind. It has a weird name, though. Am I right? Duplain State or something like that?
No. Well, the St. Cloud State is the number 1 overall seed.
Okay.
Then number 2 overall is... I just shut my computer, so I might get this wrong. It's like Minnesota State Mankato.
Mankato. That's what it was. Mankato. That was Mankato's what I was thinking of.
And then the campus of Duluth, the Bulldogs, and then the number 4 seed is UMass Amherst.
Oh wow!
So it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see how these teams pull it out. My UMass Lowell Riverhawks did not make it in this year, but we'll
always next year.
Yeah, we'll see how the Commonwealth teams do.
UNLV hockey, I heard, did pretty well this year.
There's another one that I'm thinking of.
UNLV hockey is actually pretty strong. They're not strong enough to move into like the NCAA quite yet because they're still club league level, but in that level they are pretty goddamn dominant.
What is the name of that team? Oh, they only have 8 in the Frozen Four.
Siri, what's the score of the Iowa game?
It should be 16 to start.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Where the fuck are
no.
There's only 8.
Yeah, no, there should be 16. Where are you looking?
NCAA.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Scroll down.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
There's a team I'm thinking of that they have a funky ass name other than the Mankato one.
Yeah, there's Bemidji State.
But no,
they didn't make it. But
no, I know. I want to see if there's.
Yeah, we'll see how Northeastern does this year. My dad went there for his bachelor's and master's degree, so I've always kind of had a soft spot for them.
Who's that?
Northeastern.
Okay, they got in the basketball tournament too.
Oh yeah, they got pretty.
This is gonna drive me nuts.
Wiped the floor with them pretty quickly, I think, in this one.
Where is that fucking team?
Oh, yeah, they're
Ferris State.
Oh yeah.
And there's another one too that has a weird name. I guess not.
Crane Valley State?
No.
How is that weird?
No, but
Ferris State doesn't sound that weird to me.
Because you're from up in that area.
Yeah, I know.
They all say, there's another one that I want to say. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, clearly I'm wrong. I don't see it anywhere. What is AIC? Is that a weird thing?
American International College.
Oh, okay. No, I guess there was not. I want to say there was like a. No, I guess not. Maybe I'm just drunk.
That's possible.
You kid.
All right, well, that's it for us. We're going to wrap it up here. Let's thank the sponsors, 12 Ounce Sports Radio, who airs us every Monday and Wednesday. And our Wednesday show, hopefully this Wednesday, if not, then definitely next Wednesday, will be going live starting at 10 a.m. Pacific, which is 11, 12, 1 in the East.
That is correct.
So it's pretty much at this stage, it's our golf pod. So we'll be definitely covering golf betting. We did pretty decent this week. And we said cock rack a lot.
Yeah. I finishing for tied second.
Yeah, actually, kudos to Tony Johnson. He picked Jason Cockrack.
Sounds about right.
Is his name Jason?
I think
James
so.
Definitely not Cockrack. So
what is his actual name? Because I've only
think it's Kokrak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kokrak.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's Cockrack for sure.
It is in my it's Cockrack in my world. So anyways, yeah. So Wednesdays are going to be golf pods for the foreseeable future. The interesting thing that I'm curious to is going to happen in the summer when Token and I are busy, are Tony Johnson and Spike going to continue the podcast at least on Sunday nights and Mondays? And what the hell will they talk about?
So my goal by
both
then.
hate baseball.
My goal, but I don't hate baseball. I just haven't followed it.
Yeah.
Poker. We'll talk
6
about
years.
poker. What's going on with the WSOP?
Seat Open in Sin City. Maybe we'll bring back Seat Open in Sin City as a sub buffer.
Yeah, like bridge shows.
Yeah.
Mike actually just asked me the other day if I wanted to sort of reinvent or bring it back to life. And I was like,
Rejuvenize.
You get too caught up in the editing, though. I think is what it is. Because I will tell you, I got into a situation here where about episode 40 or so, where I'm like cutting everything. It's taking me triple the time we recorded to edit, and I'm like, man, fuck this shit.
Yeah, that's
if there's if there's whooblas and
whatever.
Yeah,
it's part of the
authentic
charm,
nature
yeah.
of the charm. Yeah.
No, and like part of it too, and I know that we were wrapping up, but part of it was that
no such thing.
At the very end of it, I just realized that we had very different ideas of what we wanted the podcast to be. I wanted a podcast where we talked about the local daily life of Vegas grinders, what's happening in Vegas tournaments, how people are doing, what rooms are running good promos. Like we talked about Super Bowl promos one year, just an entire show about what Super Bowl promos were going on in various rooms. And then he wanted to talk like the Super High Roller Bowl, and he wanted to talk about like the quote unquote poker celebrities and how they were doing in like the bigger tournaments, and focusing on the stuff that you could read in like Poker News and Poker Go. I was like, that's not really what I want to do with this. So when he
is there room for both in that concept, or they just be really long podcasts?
It would be really long podcast. We'd either have to do like dedicate one episode to one and one episode to the other, and kind of flip it back and forth like that. I just don't give a shit about like how Daniel Negreanu's doing in the $300,000 buy-in event.
I'm with you on that one.
Just that doesn't interest me.
You know what interests me is when they put Daniel Negreanu on the Jumbotron at the Vegas Golden Knights games, I want to see how hot the chick next to him sits. Because it feels like it's a different one every time, but I thought he was getting married, right? No?
I thought I heard that he was engaged.
Yeah,
but,
I thought I heard he was engaged, too.
But he's got 4 seats, like center ice in the Jack Daniels lounge, and at least for the first season, it seemed like every time they panned on him, he had a different chick there, and they were all incredibly attractive.
Yeah.
So he's living his best life. I'll tell you that.
No,
hair plugs work, people.
He was doing hair plug and going vegan apparently.
Oh yeah. He put out a blog too, or a vlog, or
he does a vlog during the summer, just during the World Series.
Just during the World Series,
and then like the occasional update every once in a while when some shit's going on.
I watched one of them, and it seemed like 4 or 5 minutes of it was him exercising. I'm like, okay, this is boring.
Yeah.
I fast forwarded through that part.
That would be. How do you talk? I've never understood the concept. Maybe I just don't. I'm not into poker as much as the next guy. But it's just how do you? Because like there's a lot of poker podcasts out there, and most people want to talk about the scandals. The thing I've seen a lot now is the prop bet's gone wrong. Like people flake out on paying a prop bet, and now they're like, oh my god, it's a scandal. Like there's a actual thing like Poker Fraud Radio.
Oh god.
That like calls out the scandals or talks about like the frauds, and even like when shit happens at casinos or a casino fucks up, they like do a whole podcast about it. It's a weird one to me.
Yeah, like that kind of thing I think can be interesting, but like
there are some certain stories that get interesting.
Yeah,
kind of like the one with the bad beat that wasn't paid out or whatever.
Well, the one at Red Rock where the guy turned his hand over, and for like 6 months they're like, we're not paying this.
Yeah.
Effectively, then the gaming commission said, yeah, you are.
So like that kind of thing to me can be interesting. When we like even podcasts that have pros that are talking about like certain situations and scenarios and how you can get better at your game, that I can find interesting. But when two shitheads like me and Bike are talking about hand histories in certain tournaments, like I just listen to it and I want to kill myself.
That would be pretty boring.
Like especially when you're talking about doing it as a podcast with no visual aid. You're trying to say the flop was blah, blah, no, maybe the flop was blah, 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 and it's like fucking hell.
And then you're trying to draw it on your pen and paper.
Right. And meanwhile, like Palace Station just added tournaments. Like they had never done tournaments before in the history of that room, and now they are doing not every day, but they do have tournaments like 3 or 4 days a week. They look interesting. The buy-ins are right. They do bounty tournament. Like, this is good stuff. I want to find out about that tournament, so I'm going to go play 1 or 2 of these. And then if I had a poker podcast still, that's what I would want to talk about.
Promote it, yeah. Or you can even call the room manager or a floor there and have them talk about it and stuff
exactly.
like that. So. Hashtag fuck Bike King and his concepts. Is that too long of a hashtag?
No, probably not.
That was too long of a wrap up, so that's going to be it for us.
Yeah, let's go.
We're out of here. We'll catch you on the next episode.